What up, world? I'm X-ILE, and this is me and my crazy point of view. This is the day that has been given to me, and I'm going to use it to the best of my abilities. Today I would like to talk about a topic that's dear to me. 5 things I would like fathers to know about having a daughter. Let's get right into it. Let's start with number 1. Train yourself in the art of positive reinforcement. This is so important because I grew up in an atmosphere where when you love someone, you say negative things about them. Like, you don't mean it, but you just joke around like that, you know? Is that little girls, I don't know if more or less than little boys, but little girls absorb every word that comes from her father. So, you know, you have to learn, even jokingly, to always say positive things about your daughter. My little cousin used to joke around and call him a bum. We used to be like, you know, what up, bum? Like, we used to joke like that. And even the little girls, you know, I had a niece that I called Rooster because her hair was sticking straight up one day and she looked like a rooster. Anything to kind of like make fun of. I learned that that's not a good thing to do, you know, especially as the father of the child. It is your job to, you lay down the foundation for her self-esteem and let other people joke with her like that, you know, because, you know, it is good to have thick skin, but a father with his daughter has to always build her up verbally. So that's number 1. And if you know if all of these ones you already know, you know, then it's whatever, but I'm just giving you what I got. Number 2 is your baby girl is way more adorable than you may think. Especially with fathers with little girls. I remember when my daughter was first born, I really thought that just by holding her, I was going to break her, you know. I find it very common that when children are born, men don't want to interact with the child. And a lot of women think that that's crazy, like, why? And the reason why is because we see this fragile piece of life, frankly, afraid that we're gonna crack the egg, you know. But the thing is that children, they strive, they grow beautifully with physical interaction, and so it's very important to interact with your child. My daughter's first year, like, it was mom was working a lot. It really was me. And I remember I used to wrap her up like a taco. I mean, like a burrito. Like, I would have layers on layers on layers because I was just so afraid that I would rough handle her and she would be broken for life. Well, God be the glory that didn't happen, and she's growing up just fine. But I had to get over that fear that I was going to do something to break her in order to give her the attention she deserves. So, you know, fellas, don't be afraid to get in there and interact with the child. You guys will bond better because of that. So let's go to number 3. Number 3, your daughter will like things, but what she really wants is your time. And this is important because a lot of fathers feel like if they're not spoiling their daughters rotten, if they're not doing 150 things for their child at all times, that they're not a good father. The thing is that I want you to realize that, as a matter of fact, I remember seeing this YouTube video about gratitude, where a father wrapped up a rock in a box and gave it to his little daughter like a gift. And you would have thought that it was a Rolls Royce in the box. Like, you would have thought that it was something crazy because when your child is young, Now, if you teach them to be materialistic and you teach them that that's very important, the older they get, the more that will be important. But when your child is young, very early, then I would say the first 5 to 7 years, any attention that you pay your daughter, anything that you give her, anything that you do for her, she's gonna go crazy over. Not saying that you should take the cheap or the easy route out, but know that, and this is an issue that men have, know that if the paradigm is, I work really hard to buy her great things, but in result she doesn't see me. That versus I buy her less, expensive things, but I spend more time with her. That's preferred. We as fellas, we have to learn that it's not always about bringing the bacon home, but it's also about being there when it's made and being present. It's much more important than, the bacon that you bring home or whatever analogy you want to use. Number 4, read to her every night. Because my daughter has issues where she needs speech therapy, I know how important it is to read to your daughter every night. There are so many developmental issues that she can avoid if you just do that one simple thing. And it doesn't have to be a long video or anything drawn out. Just reading from a book that expands her vocabulary and having that time with you is important. I'm not going to go into all the benefits of reading to her every night. If you want to know, you can Google it. So, I don't care. I ain't doing it. Alright, so number 5 is really important. Start saving now. And it doesn't matter how little or how big. When she is older, it will show her that you have big hopes for her and that you believe in her. It'll make a big difference. When your child gets to a point where she's not a child anymore, and she starts thinking about her future, she's gonna look to you and see what help you can have for her. Now, if you can save up to the point where you pay for her college, that's great. That's awesome. But if you can't, don't do nothing. Put away something now. Even if you put $1 away every day or every week or whatever you do, if you get to that point where she's looking to you and you say, oh, I didn't do anything. And a lot of us from where I'm from can relate. You kind of look at your parents like, well, you never thought I was going to be anything anyway. So, but though that might not be true, it's good to start planning now. It's good to start planning now and to have something. And I'm telling you, it doesn't have to be substantial. If you just show that she was on your mind, that she was an important part of your thought process, weekly, daily, whatever, it'll make all the difference in the world. And so I encourage brothers to do that. I encourage you to have a plan for your daughter and dream big and do whatever you can to aid in the process, and whatever is whatever. Doesn't have to be a lot. I promise you, if you show a record that you put away $5 a month for her whole, life, and she sees that, it'll make a difference to her, especially if she knew you didn't have it, $5, $10, whatever, I'm just saying that her knowing that you were concerned about her future, and so you did something about it. You did whatever you could, and whatever that amount is what you could do. She'll love it. She'll love it. So That's the end of this video. I hope you subscribe to my channel. If not, then I'm gonna find you, and it's gonna get ugly. It's like, nah. You can find me on Facebook. You can find me on Twitter. On Twitter, my Twitter name is X-ILE Paravant Album. Speaking of that, look out for the album release. The release date is January the 18th, 2018. And I'm out. Get at me. Why'd I do that? I don't know.